everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Divine Diva, where my wonderful guest for today is Reina. So, welcome, and I would love to help you introduce yourself and let everyone know who you are and what you do.
Thank you so much for having me, Susan. So I'm Reina. I am a lawyer, I'm an entrepreneur. My specialty is really in supporting women from a trauma-informed space.
Mhm.
So what I really do and my expertise is in relationships and in the leadership space. I'm also the host of my podcast, The Warrior Women Show.
Mhm.
I'm sure you know about that as well.
Yeah,
That's a little bit about me in a nutshell and what I do.
and I love that it's called the Warrior Women because I always support like women and podcasts that empower other women.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, like the name was very intuitive. It came to
Mhm.
me through a meditative experience. But it really resonated with me because it spoke to who I am on the inside. You
Mhm.
know, there is a fire spirit, but at the same time, there is a very divine feminine aspect to that as well. So
Mhm.
it was kind of an amalgamation of who I am, just reflecting itself on the outside.
Mhm. And in your view, what qualities does a divine diva have?
Oh, that's a really good question. I would say that every individual has their own archetypes. And
Mhm.
I think that it's your journey is in discovering who and what your archetypes are. You know, for you, it might be the softness in you that is your power. It might be a sense of a fire energy that might be your power. I think that there are very different aspects to a woman itself, and there's very different aspects to women as a collective that make us powerful. And so, if we're talking about the divine feminine, it's like, well, what is the archetype that resonates with you the most? And there's a deep dive that has to happen for you to discover that. You know, it's
Mhm.
a spiritual journey. It's a journey of self discovery. And so, I don't think that there is like one embodiment of the feminine. I think we're all different embodiments of the feminine,
Mhm.
and we come together as a collective, and that is what our power as the divine feminine is really rooted in.
Yeah, of course it's deeply layered.
Yeah, very layered. Because if I was to give you like a context and say, okay, this is what the divine feminine is, someone that may not resonate with that might
Right.
think, okay, well, maybe I'm not on the divine feminine path, right? But actually, we're all on the divine feminine path, and we're all in our own trajectory and our own timeline. And what
Mhm.
I've noticed through my journey is that the more you dive deeper in your journey, the more you dive deeper within, you will discover aspects and parts of you that are yet to be discovered,
Mhm.
and you will integrate aspects of you that you have already discovered before, right?
Mhm.
That's really the journey, and I would say that wherever you're at in that journey, whatever the trajectory of that journey looks like, it's going deeper each layer, each layer, each
Mhm.
layer. There's an infiniteness to it because the feminine is the void, right?
Right.
It's the void. There's an infiniteness to us. We have a void within our physical bodies as well. So the discovery of who you are as a feminine, as the divine feminine, is infinite. You would think that you've figured out who you are, and then there's another layer to it.
Right. And like you said, there's no like one size fits all because then you would deny so many women of that divine journey when there is no one size fits all. It's your own unique path to your own divinity with.
100%. There really is. And I think the conversation that is happening online of this is what the feminine is, and this is the finiteness of the feminine. There can't be a finiteness of the feminine because the feminine energy is the energy of flow. It's the energy
Mhm.
of the void. It's the energy of surrender and infiniteness. And we can't put a timestamp on it to say this is what it is, and anything outside of it isn't that, right?
Because labeling it is so opposite of what that feminine actually is.
100%,
Mhm.
100%.
Yeah. And as a spiritual person yourself, how did you like connect to that spirituality? When did it first like find you?
That's, I, for me, I've always felt a deeper knowing and a connection.
Hmm.
It's amazing because even as a child, I felt this connection, this awakening taking place inside me, and I didn't know what it was. I never understood it, but I
Hmm.
felt a presence. I always felt a presence. I knew there was a presence, and I knew that it's an innate knowing, right? Because we
Right.
are intuitive beings, but I always knew that one day that presence would become known to me,
Hmm.
right? And that for me really happened around 2019 when I experienced a very profound spiritual awakening, right? And it brought me to discovering not just myself as a person, but also the path, the purpose, and the mission that I was to carry forward from then on. And that became very clear to me. But the background story of that is rooted in some really deep trauma that I had to start healing through, and that um, that awakening really just opened space for me to do that, and do that in a capsuled space, right? So it quantum leaped my healing journey, and it was through that that I really started to understand spirituality. I've always been on a spiritual journey. I've always been discovering. I've been a meditator for over a decade now, and it's through the little nuances that I came to have a very profound realization of, no, this is who we are, and this is who I am,
Hmm.
and this is my journey. My journey is a spiritual journey.
And again, it's like those the peeling back of all those layers of
It
who
is.
you were, who thought you were, or who you were programmed to be, but
It is.
peeling those back and coming to your authentic self.
It is, and I'd say that's the journey for most people,
Hmm.
right? For most women, the journey is about healing. It's about self-discovery. It's about resonance and reflection with who you are, and
Hmm.
it's about coming back um, to yourself. You know, like peeling away the conditioning, peeling away the layers of the trauma that we've experienced,
Hmm.
um, the belief systems that we hold, the ideas and the identity that we've been made to embody, as
Hmm.
opposed to recognizing that outside of what other people have told you, this is who I am.
Hmm.
Outside of what society says women should be, this is who I am. And
Yeah.
that takes a lot of courage. It takes
Oh yeah.
courage to
It's
do that.
scary.
Yeah, it takes courage to do that, because what you'll realize is that when you are stepping into that space, it feels like your world is crumbling apart, because the things and the people you once, resonated with, you identified with, you no longer can, because
Yeah.
your your internal identity is shifting, and you're coming into alignment with who you are,
Hmm.
from recognizing that this is who I am outside of everything and what everyone has told me. And that's a
Hmm.
powerful space to be in, you know?
Yeah. And you become an energetic match to the things, people, surroundings that you feel good with. And you see lots of people like fall away or even get angry because you have changed and oh, you're not the same person anymore. And like, you're right, I'm not.
Yeah,
But that's a scary process to be in, that's for sure.
yeah, absolutely. I
Hmm.
always say, like, if you look at your pictures before you were on a conscious spiritual journey, and you look at your pictures now, you will see the difference. It's
Hmm.
drastic. And it's not just like an internal shift we go through, it's an
Hmm.
external shift as well, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
Because it's the law of correspondence, as above, so below, as within, so without. If
Yeah.
you're changing on the inside, it is going to show on the outside. And of course, the people around you will say, "Oh, what are you doing? You're not the same person,"
Right.
right? What are you doing? You're different. And those that want to come through with you and elevate with you and
Yeah.
grow with you will. And those
Right.
that will, they will just, fizzle off into your journey.
Yeah, because the people that fall away, they used to like benefit from the old you and the pre-programmed you, not the new and evolved you.
Yes, and I would say it's about recognizing that everyone is on their own journey,
Right.
right? And we can have compassion for the people around us, but one thing I'm very conscious of is knowing when it's time to step away,
Mm-hmm.
right? Knowing when it's time to move forward in your journey, because actually by you elevating your frequency, by you creating the kind of life that you are here to, and aligning with your purpose, with your vision, with bringing your manifestations into your reality,
Mm-hmm.
actually you're doing them a favor, because you're being a mirror and a reflection
Mm-hmm.
to that of what
Right.
is possible, right?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
And most of the time, we want to hold on to the people we love, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we want to handhold them to say, well, actually, yeah, I will diminish my energy, and
Right.
I will, play small just so that I can make you happy. But
Right.
it's neither doing us a favor, right? Because we're not spiritually elevating in our
Mm-hmm.
journey, and it's not doing them a favor because they are not seeing the mirror of what is possible through
Yeah.
you, right? Because
Yeah.
the divine feminine chose you to show them.
Right.
And that's the responsibility that I say comes with it. You get to lead so that the people around you are witnesses to the mirror, the possibility,
Right.
and and then they go, right?
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
and they go.
But that's also like the nurturing tendencies that we naturally as women have. They
Yes,
tend to like change to people pleasing. And
right.
that's when we realize that, like, oh my gosh, I'm keeping these people close to me when I should actually let them go for my own growth and their growth. But
Yeah,
that's hard to do because that the people pleaser in you is like, oh, but I can't let them down or I can't hurt them.
yes.
So, but then when you're at that cross point, how do you let go?
I, there's a difference, Suzanne, between mothering someone
Hmm.
and seeing the power in them.
Hmm.
Because if we and I want to say this like very finitely, because there's a very fine line, and I don't want the women that will listen to this to misinterpret it. But there's a very finite line between seeing someone from an energy of disempowerment, right, and
Hmm.
seeing someone from the energy of their own power,
Hmm.
right? Because when you see someone as needing mothering, you will mother.
Right.
When you see someone as they need you, it feeds a deeper wounding in us, because it's that sense of they need me, I'm codependent with them,
Right.
right? It's the wounding of I want to be the savior. I want to be the one that helps them. I want to be the one they can lean on, and that puts us also in a disconnected energy from us,
Right.
right? The powerful space to be in is to recognize that you are rooted in your power and nothing outside falters that. Okay. And we can choose to see someone through their power,
Hmm.
but we cannot make them move. We cannot
Right.
create momentum for someone else.
Hmm.
And that's the hardest thing for us to accept as women, because we want to help, we want to overgive, we want to be self-sacrificial in our journeys.
Hmm.
But when we do that, what it does is it it disconnects you from your own journey,
Hmm.
right? So it's really about letting go and from from it, coming to it from a place of love and compassion, to say, I get to be the mirror, and I can choose to love and accept, whether it's family, parents, whatever, partners, I can choose to love and accept you, but at the same time, um, I have to let go of the idea that I have control over your life. I
Hmm.
have control over the trajectory and the decisions that you're making, but I can only lead by example,
Hmm.
right? I can only be the mirror of what is possible. And I see this a lot when women are doing healing work, and
Hmm.
especially with like my clients, they're like, I'm doing healing work and we're diving deep into this, but I'm noticing that I am making the other people around me also want to do this, and they're not listening, they're not resonating, they're not wanting to do this, they're not understanding. And it's the idea that we want to save everyone around us,
Right.
right? Because it feeds us, it makes us feel good. And we got to look at where is that wound of validation coming from?
Hmm.
Because it is a validation. It makes us feel
Right.
so good that we helped someone else.
Yeah.
So it's about understanding, well, where is that validation or the need for it coming from?
Hmm.
And let's work on that, because um, there is self validation and then there is validation from other people.
Hmm. Absolutely. And you mentioned that healers tend to do that as well, because that's why I love to quote, like, a true healer doesn't heal you, but they allow space for you to heal yourself.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Healing is, and especially working with healers and coaches that are in the healing space, it's about space holding, right?
Hmm.
You are not doing the work, you're not being the savior. And I see this with so many healers and coaches and, relationship coaches that are like, I want to save my clients.
Hmm.
But we can't save. We can hold space and we can create an energetic container that is a hub for them to come in and to receive transmission,
Hmm.
right? We cannot say, this is a space where I will handhold and take you step by step by step, because we are not the ones walking their spiritual path.
Hmm.
And oftentimes, what happens is when we are trying to control someone's spiritual path, you're actually being a block
Hmm.
in their elevation,
You're
right?
right.
You have to recognize that there is a lot of space we got to hold, and they have to elevate in their frequency through their own awareness, right?
Right.
That's all we're doing, is we're bringing awareness, we're bringing awareness, we're bringing awareness. Yes, we have our processes, we have things we teach, right?
Hmm.
We have the methods. I'm sure you have your own methods as a healer and a coach, right? The methods are the methods, right?
Right.
That's your method, that's your specialty. But
Yeah.
the methods are there to bring awareness to your clients through their own process, through their
Hmm.
own awakening, right? The
Right.
method isn't step A, step B, step C,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
The method is the space holding, and that's where the power of healing comes through. And this is why I'm so passionate about working with other healers and coaches, because when we can hold space,
Hmm.
we are actually quite literally shifting the frequency of this universe.
Yes.
We are the ones doing the work. We are leading the path. We're bringing this message forward to say, well, actually, we as a collective, right? We as the leaders, the pioneers of the work that is coming through us, through you, through me, through everyone else, are contributing towards the frequency of this universe. We're
Hmm.
elevating it. We're the change makers. We're the pioneers. We're shifting generational trauma. We're shifting generational patterns, and that's the power in what we do. But
Hmm.
I do see it a lot with healers, and a lot in the healing space, of that need to be the savior.
Right.
And we have to look at where that's coming from.
Hmm. Yeah, because I always say you can't fix someone, because when you try to fix them, you
Yes.
rob them of their own healing journey and of that experience that they have to go through, because it is the healing journey
Yeah,
that brings you so many lessons and growths and awakenings and awareness and everything.
absolutely. You see
Hmm.
this a lot in like parent children dynamics as well, where like the child will want to save the parent, right? The
Right.
child wants to fix the parent. And I always say, well, if you continually are um, trying to cushion someone, right?
Hmm.
Whether it's a parent, a sibling, or, your partner, whatever, if we're continually cushioning someone, what we're doing is we're not opening the gateway,
Hmm.
right, for them to actually take a step forward towards
Right.
their own growth, their own awakening, their own healing. And so what happens is you're actually, I hate to say it this way, but you're actually being a block to that gate opening. You got to
Yeah.
step out of the way And it's the hardest thing to do because the noise that comes from that is immense, right?
Right.
You like your internal like thoughts are like, no, you have to, I must check in on them all the time. I must do this. I must, overgive. I must coddle them. I must,
Right.
um, cushion them. That's the work that you have to do then. Right?
Exactly. That is your wound that needs
Yeah,
healing.
that's my route, right? But you will notice that the more, and this is the power of doing divine feminine work, is that the more you step into that space of like, this is my wound and this is my healing, you're actually surrendering. That's the process of
Hmm.
surrendering, right?
Hmm.
That's the practice of surrender. And you will see that the more you do that, it's just the energy and how it works. The more that person is going
Hmm.
to also do that if they
Yeah,
choose to,
exactly.
right?
You're the mirror to that person.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And when you self-validate, you don't need that validation from the outside, and you can show
Absolutely.
others like you can do this too.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
And do you have a sacred self-care ritual?
A sacred self-care ritual. It's I wouldn't say I have a sacred self-care ritual, but I'm very disciplined with two things. One
Mm.
is meditation, and two is journaling. They're my go-to processes for myself. Um, I would say when it comes to sacred self-care ritual, you have to understand what is a self-care for, right? We can look at doing like the baths, we can look at being out in nature, we can look at grounding practices, but you want to connect that back to self, right? Is
Mm.
that rooting you into a deeper part of yourself, right? Is
Right.
that bringing you deeper awareness of who you are as a divine feminine,
Mm.
right? Because if we're just having a ritual every week just for the sake of having a ritual,
Mm.
then it's disconnecting us from the essence.
Mm. Yeah, then it becomes a habit.
Absolutely, it becomes a
Hmm.
habit, right? So if you are interested or you want to have self-care rituals, there's nothing wrong with it. Do what works for you, but create something that is actually going to be in resonance for you, right? That's actually going to ground you and put you in the energy of like um surrender.
Hmm.
That's the essence of being in a ritual, right? You want to come into surrender. That's
Mm.
why when you look at, why do some women have like bath rituals, or they have some weekly rituals that they do, right? They walk out in nature. The essence of it is to bring you into surrendered space,
Hmm.
because in surrender you're in the void. In the void is where the feminine exists.
Mm. And that's where the abundance flows and the receiving mode gets turned on.
Yes, it switches on, right? So
Mm.
for me, that looks like meditation, because in meditation, I can surrender. I can
Hmm.
be in the void. And the longer you're in the void, the longer you get to soak all of that in,
Hmm.
right?
And why do most women find it so hard to be in that feminine receptive mode?
Because you are too stuck in your thoughts,
Right.
right? You have to, if you want to be in the surrender mode, you have to master disciplining your thoughts,
Hmm.
right? You have to master it. And until and unless you can master that, it's difficult for your body to integrate. Because I see this a lot with meditation practices when clients come in and they say, I'm struggling to meditate. I'm like, yes, because the minute you sit down to meditate, your body is in hypervigilance, right? Your feminine body is in a go, 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 go.
Hmm.
Okay, when you sit down, it says, this is not normal. This is
Right.
not a normal feeling for me.
Right.
And I need to do what feels normal. And because you are forcing the body to just be present, right? The feminine exists in the presence.
Hmm.
The body says, no, I don't like this.
This
So what
doesn't
I'm
feel
going to
safe.
do,
Hmm.
yeah, it doesn't feel safe. I don't like this. I'm going to send a message to your brain, and the thoughts are going to come in now,
Right.
right? And the brain, the thoughts switch on. It's about disciplining your thought process, because the more you can do that, you are able to very automatically come into surrender, right? You're
Mm.
able to practice being in an almost instant, like, okay, yes, my body, this is now my norm is to be in surrender, right? My norm is to be in a space.
Hmm.
Okay. So the minute your body starts to tense, you feel hyper vigilant, you're in a chaotic space, right?
Hmm.
Um, mentally, physically, you will know that this is how I get back to my norm, right?
Hmm.
It's not shifting it. It's a practice. It takes time, okay? It took me time as well to get into that space. But once you know how to do it once, and then you do it again, and then you do it again, and you're integrating it into the
Hmm.
body, right? You're
Right.
integrating it into your nervous system as well.
Right. And then it becomes safe for your
Yeah,
nervous system to feel
because
that way.
it
Hmm.
feels safe, right? I think what most people do is they say, surrender, just surrender. It's so easy. You gotta just let go. You gotta surrender. There is a process to it.
Yeah.
And if your lifestyle is not also supporting you in that, if your lifestyle is chaotic, you're always on the go, are finding it difficult to even find 5 minutes of your day for yourself, it's going to feel more challenging, right?
Hmm.
Top that off with when you want to surrender, you can't because you have had to be in control of your life, right?
Right.
You had to have that control element there. And surrender comes with not just letting go of the control aspect, it comes with a trust. And so many of us as women, we struggle to trust,
Hmm.
right? Your relationship with the divine is a relationship of trust, and that requires you to hone in on that relationship. It requires to define what that looks like for you, because it looks different for everyone.
Hmm.
But until and unless you have a relationship with the divine in you, it's going to feel really difficult because you're going to struggle to trust the process, right?
Hmm.
That's what you got to do. You got to trust the unknown, and that's
Hmm.
difficult because the brain says I can't see, right? I can't see the way. I don't know if there's certainty here. I don't know if there is possibility here. How is this going to happen? I need to find the way. I need to, right? And you get in the chaos of this. But the magic is in the pause. The magic is in the trust. The longer you can hold that frequency, you will see that it just eventually opens the floodgates for you. You're
Hmm.
able to surrender. Your manifestations are just coming through the roof. Your frequency is elevated. You shift. You'll notice that you're doing things differently. You're thinking differently because you've maintained it long enough. It's not comfortable. This is what I think most people think is that it's comfortable. It's not comfortable. You'll feel the discomfort. But
Hmm.
what most people think is, oh, when I feel the discomfort, that means that um, I am now in survival mode. No, sometimes you got to be in the discomfort
Hmm.
because actually the reason you're feeling uncomfortable is because um, it's an unsafe space for your body to be in surrender.
Hmm.
The surrender feels like survival,
Right.
right? Because actually it's an unfamiliar feeling for your body,
Hmm.
right? As you were saying earlier. But even though the true survival, right, the being in the chaos, the control, that's the survival mode. Oh, that feels safe for me.
Right.
So when you're doing something new, it's not going to feel comfortable, right? But you got to get comfortable being in the discomfort.
Right. Well, my last question is always the same, and that is, when do you feel most divine?
When do I feel most divine? I feel most divine when I am in my creation mode.
Hmm.
I feel most divine when I am creating something in my business, when I'm writing, when I'm doing something that's putting me in that creative energy. I feel like it makes me connect with a very powerful essence in me. And it makes me recognize that as as a divine feminine, I get to birth through me so much, right? That is still unseen, but it is coming through me. And
Hmm.
that for me is a really, really powerful space to be in.
Hmm. Well, thank you so much for sharing your words of wisdom with us today, Reina. Thank you.
It's been lovely. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.